They're calling me a hero for pulling people out of the rubble. The truth is, I'm the one who put them in there. Local man Leo Mercer risked his life to pull survivors from the collapsed Riverside Mall. Witnesses say Mercer worked for 18 hours straight, refusing medical attention himself while he saved others. They called me the Angel of Riverside, gave me a key to the city. For 3 glorious months I was a hero. The newspapers didn't know the truth. That I visited the mall the night before with a toolkit and a plan. That I knew exactly which beam to cut. What nobody knew, what I didn't know until it was too late, was that I wasn't the only one with secrets in that building. The collapse was my idea, but the bodies they found buried deeper than the rubble, those weren't part of my plan. My name is Leo Mercer. Before the collapse, I was no one, a maintenance supervisor at a mall people hardly visited. But I wasn't always this person. 15 years ago, I was an important figure, P.E., licensed structural engineer. I designed buildings that touched the sky. Then came the Harrison's Tower collapse. 6 people died. The investigation found faulty calculations in the foundation supports. My calculations. I lost everything. My wife took our daughter and moved across the country. I can't look at you, she said. Every time I do, I see those dead people. The truth? I was set up. My junior engineer Mark had altered the numbers, but he came from money, had better lawyers. The evidence disappeared. He's a partner at a prestigious firm now. I'm this. So yes, I knew exactly how to make Riverside Mall collapse without looking intentional. I'd studied failure for 15 years. I knew every way a building could die. The day they announced the mall's closure, something in me broke. This was my chance, not to hurt people, never to hurt people. Just to create a situation where I could be a hero again, where people would see me as someone worth looking at. The night before the collapse, I was in the maintenance tunnels. I'd chosen a support beam in a closed wing. Minimal casualties, maximum drama. Or so I thought. As I was making the final cuts, I heard voices. 2 men arguing in the old food court above me. Through a vent, I saw them clearly. Tony Moretti, the mall's security chief, and a man I didn't recognize. "Where's the rest?" the stranger demanded. "You'll get it when I get my daughter back," Tony snapped. Then I saw the gun in the stranger's waistband, and I realized I wasn't the only one with secrets in this building. I stayed hidden until they left. But as I was gathering my tools, I found something. A small, blood-stained child's hair clip. It must have fallen during their argument. I almost called the police, but then I thought, this could be my insurance. If something went wrong with my plan, I'd have leverage. So I pocketed the hair clip and finished what I started. The collapse was louder than I expected, more violent. The closed wing I'd targeted, it took half the mall with it. There were screams, so many screams. In that moment, my carefully constructed plan evaporated. This wasn't a controlled disaster. This was a nightmare. I found myself running toward the chaos, not away. For the next 18 hours, I wasn't pretending to be a hero. I was one. I pulled 7 people from the rubble with my bare hands. One of them was a little girl who reminded me of my daughter. When the cameras found me, covered in dust and blood, I didn't have to fake the tears. They were real. But here's the twist I never expected. Tony Moretti, the security chief, was among the missing. His body wasn't in the initial count. 3 days after the collapse, they found him. In the maintenance tunnels. Not crushed by debris, shot, execution style. Suddenly, my hero narrative had competition. The media smelled a bigger story. Hero security chief murdered during mall collapse. Detective Miller took over both investigations. He was sharp. Too sharp. "Funny thing, Leo," he said during one of our interviews. "The beam that failed first, the cuts looked professional, almost like an engineer did it. I felt the walls closing in. But then, something unexpected happened. A woman approached me after a memorial service. Dark hair, haunted eyes. 'You knew Tony,' she said. It wasn't a question. She was Elena, Tony's wife. 'He was trying to protect us,' she whispered. 'The people he worked for, they took our daughter.' My blood ran cold. The hair clip in my pocket suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. 'If you know anything,' she begged, 'anything at all, please.' That night, I almost gave her the hair clip. But then I saw the car watching my apartment. The same car that had been at the mall the night of the collapse. I need to pause here for a moment because what happens next changes everything. But before we continue, if stories about moral dilemmas and the consequences of our choices hit you right in the gut, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. What happens in the next 4 minutes will make you question everything you thought you knew about redemption. Detective Miller wasn't just investigating the collapse anymore. He was investigating Tony's murder. And he had a theory. Tony had been involved with the Moretti crime family. No relation, just ironic coincidence. They'd been using the mall as a drop point. Tony had stolen from them. They'd taken his daughter as collateral. The collapse had interrupted their exchange. Meanwhile, the structural investigation was heating up. They'd found my tool marks. They were days away from connecting them to me. I was trapped between 2 investigations, both pointing toward me for different crimes. Then came the break I didn't want. Elena found me. "They're going to kill Sophia," she sobbed, "tomorrow. They think Tony talked before he died." I had a choice, come clean about what I'd seen, or let a child die. I went to Detective Miller with everything. The planned collapse, the argument I witnessed, the hair clip. He stared at me for a full minute. Then he did something unexpected. "We know about the engineering fraud," he said. "Mark confessed last week. We were building a case to clear your name." My world tilted. After 15 years, vindication. "But this," Miller continued, "this changes everything. You created a disaster to feed your ego, and in doing so, you stumbled into a kidnapping investigation." He made me an offer. Help them rescue Sophia, and he'd advocate for leniency on the collapse charges. That night, we set a trap. Using the hair clip as bait, we arranged a meeting with the kidnappers. The rescue operation was at an abandoned warehouse. I was wired, positioned as the concerned citizen who found the hair clip. What happened next was chaos. Gunfire, shouting. In the confusion, I found Sophia, alive, terrified, in a back room. As I carried her out, one of the kidnappers raised his gun. But before he could fire, Detective Miller took the shot instead. He fell, bleeding, but saved my life. Sophia was safe. The kidnappers were arrested. Elena got her daughter back. I should have felt like a hero. But as they loaded Miller into an ambulance, he looked at me with disappointment that cut deeper than any accusation. "You could have been a real hero, Leo," he whispered. "You had it in you all along." The trial was a media circus. The hero who wasn't. The villain who saved a child. I pleaded guilty to reckless endangerment, among other charges. The judge gave me 15 years, a fraction of what I could have gotten, thanks to Miller's testimony about Sophia's rescue. But the real punishment came from the families. The wife of a man who died in the collapse spat on me in court. "My husband died for your ego," she said. She was right. The irony? If I hadn't caused the collapse, Tony would likely be dead anyway, and Sophia might never have been found. My selfish act inadvertently saved a life. But that doesn't absolve me. Nothing can. I'm writing this from prison. Elena visits sometimes. She brings Sophia, who calls me the nice man. She doesn't know I'm the reason her father is dead. Detective Miller recovered. He's retired now. He still writes me. His last letter said, "The measure of a man isn't in his worst moment, but in what he does after." Maybe he's right. Maybe redemption is possible. But every night, I dream of collapsing buildings and little girls crying for fathers who aren't coming home. They called me a hero. Then they found the bodies. But the truth is, they never found all the casualties of that day. Some of us are still buried alive in the rubble of our choices. This channel exists to explore these raw human stories that most platforms are too afraid to touch. We don't just tell stories, we dig into the psychology behind why people make the choices they do. If you want to join our community of people who believe that understanding human nature is the first step toward becoming better versions of ourselves, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know in the comments. Would you have made Leo's deal with Detective Miller? Could you live with the consequences? Because the next story, it might just change how you see your own choices forever.